Welcome to the Britney Spears Book Club, where I'm reading Britney Spears' book so you don't have to. This is Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. For my boys, the loves of my life. In the prologue, she describes going outside and singing a lot as a child because she was trying to escape her alcoholic dad, and she was scared to go home. In the first paragraph of chapter 1, she says, quote, "No matter how bad it got there was an understanding to stay mute, and if I didn't, there were consequences." Chapter 1 outlines that she lived in a strict Southern household. She describes what it's like growing up in a small town where everyone knows everyone's business, and describes the first time she felt touched by music, which sparked her love for it. She said sometimes Lynn would hire a housekeeper when they were financially okay to do so, and the housekeeper would sing gospel music while she was doing the laundry. Quote, "The housekeeper sang gospel music, and it was literally an awakening to a whole new world. I'll never forget it." She goes on to explain how music is like an escape from reality for her, and also a way for her to express herself. She said at 8 years old, she was making music videos to Mariah Carey songs because she was like so into performing and singing. This chapter goes on to unpack who Lynn's parents were and who Jamie's parents were. So Jamie's mother was Emma Jean Spears, but they just called her Jean. So we're going to call her Jean too. Jean was married to June. Jean suffered child loss, and after, June sent her to an asylum. At the asylum, they put her on lithium. Jean ended up ending things at the child's grave site. This was in 1966. June had actually sent more than one wife to this asylum at some point, but she was the first one. She described June as nothing being good enough for him. He was very hard on Jamie growing up, and she goes on to kind of insinuate that Jamie is the way he is because June was the way he was. Here's a little something interesting about June. Quote, "June was an officer for the Baton Rouge Police Department and eventually had 10 children and 3 wives. And as far as I can tell, no one has a good word to say about him in the first 50 years of his life." Okay. She also says that June essayed Jamie's half-sister. So Jamie was 13 when his mom died. She says that she knows June as like a nice, sweet old man because by the time like she was born, he had softened up. And Jamie ended up being the mean one because he would drink a lot, and when he would drink a lot, he would be really mean. Paraphrasing, of course. She goes on to talk about Lynn's family, and Lynn's mother's name was Lily. Lily and her family lived in London, but Lily met Lynn's dad during World War II because he was a soldier, and there was like a soldiers type dance, and she went to the dance and she met him. He brings her back to America, and she was super disappointed because she was going from the London life to the Louisiana, like, country life. Grandma Lily sounded unhappy. Quote, "So my grandmother kept to herself, read a ton of books, became obsessed with cleaning, and missed London till the day she died." She said Lynn grew up with money because Lily had money. The last part of the chapter is a little confusing. I can't tell if Lynn was into Jamie or if Jamie was into Lynn. She says, "My father took an interest in her as well as he might." Goes on to say Jamie played basketball really well and that Lynn noticed that, saw him and said, quote, "Oh, who's this?" And wraps the chapter up by saying, quote, "But the honeymoon was over long before I came along."